Greetings, everyone. This is HR4BTC presenting the Bitcoiner's Guide to Getting a US Ham Radio License. We're going to start by discussing HR4BTC's mission statement. Our mission is to bring Bitcoin plebs and developers into ham radio. We want to help the Bitcoin community achieve technical proficiency in radio communication techniques so that they can contribute to advancing the radio arts in alignment with the ethos of Bitcoin. What we're saying is that radio is a decentralized freedom technology, and we are going to teach Bitcoiners how to use it effectively. The topics of this training are as follows. We're going to discuss the US ham radio license types and their respective exams. We'll give you information about test preparation and studying for the test. We'll show you where to register with the FCC, explain how to find a test, and tell you what to expect on test day. We'll close with some final thoughts about what happens after the test. There are 3 license levels in the United States: Technician, General, and Amateur Extra. There is a test associated with each of the 3 license levels. You must take the tests in sequential order before moving on to the next one. To become an Amateur Extra, you must first pass the Technician exam, followed by the General exam, and then the Amateur Extra exam. The Technician class is the entry-level license. It gives you access to the UHF and VHF portions of the spectrum, with limited HF spectrum privileges. This is useful for local radio communications. It is also your entry point into digital modes that may be of particular interest to Bitcoiners. There is a test associated with this license. It contains 35 questions, and like all 3 license exams, it is multiple choice. The question pools are known in advance and are available to the public. We'll talk more about that later. You must answer 26 questions correctly to pass. This is very achievable. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, for example, frequently take this test at 10 to 12 years old. The first test is not that difficult. If you're able to hold your own private keys, this should not be a major challenge for you. I think you'll find that what you receive in return for the effort you put into this will be well worth your time. The next license is the General Class license. I'm going to present this as the most desirable license for most people to obtain. It is the mid-level license and gives you access to nearly all of the radio spectrum available to a ham radio operator. It gives you access to the HF spectrum, which allows you to make the global contacts that ham radio is known for. You can bounce signals off the atmosphere and communicate over very long distances. What's great is that the General exam is not much more difficult than the Technician exam. Like the Technician exam, it contains 35 multiple choice questions. You must answer 26 correctly, and the questions are known in advance. For most of you, I suggest making the General Class license your goal. The final level is the Amateur Extra class. This is the highest license level. It gives you all available ham radio privileges, including the final portions of the spectrum that are not available under the General license. This test is significantly more difficult. It contains 50 multiple choice questions, and you must answer 37 correctly to pass. The questions cover material similar to what you might encounter in a college-level electrical engineering course. My recommendation is to aim for the General license first. Get involved in ham radio and discover which parts of it you enjoy. Once you know more, you can decide whether you want to pursue the Amateur Extra license. Now, let's discuss test preparation. The first thing we want to say is that you should never have to pay for ham radio instruction. With that in mind, our first recommendation is hamstudy.org. Hamstudy.org provides practice exams for all 3 ham radio license tests. It system tracks which questions you answer correctly or incorrectly over time, helping you focus on the areas you need to study and use your time effectively. It's wonderful. You can even take the official online exam through their website. The actual exam interface will look almost exactly like the practice exams, so you'll already be familiar with it when taking an online test. We cannot recommend Hamstudy highly enough. Our second recommendation is a ham radio instructor on YouTube whose call sign is Whiskey 4 Echo Echo Yankee. We'll include a link below. He conducts in-person and online classes for all 3 license levels. He records the classes and posts them to playlists on YouTube. To find the most up-to-date information, go to his YouTube page and look through the playlists. Whiskey 4 Echo Echo Yankee. If you see this, thank you for everything you do. The next thing we want to discuss is books. You may prefer to use a book to help you study. You might be able to find these books at your local library. There are two particularly solid book series covering the 3 exams. The American Radio Relay League, also known as the ARRL, publishes a study guide for each license class. There is also a longtime ham radio operator named Gordon West, who publishes his own series of study guides. You can't go wrong with either series, whether you buy the books or borrow them from a library. Either option will help you get the job done. Now comes the fun part. To receive your ham radio license, you must register with the Federal Communications Commission. This process involves identifying yourself using information such as your social security number. You must register for a unique FCC registration number, also called an FRN. You do this through a system called CORES, which stands for the Commission Registration System. The website is apps.fcc.gov/cors. One thing I consider very important, not only for obtaining a ham radio license, but for anyone concerned about privacy, is having a P.O. box. I recommend using a P.O. box during this process. When you receive a call sign, it is entered into a public database. Someone who hears your call sign over the radio can search for it and see the address you used when registering with the FCC. You will probably prefer that address to be a P.O. box rather than your home address. There are other benefits to having a P.O. box as well. Think about it. I believe you understand what I'm talking about. I highly recommend using a P.O. box. Finding a test session is relatively easy. Your first option is hamstudy.org/sessions. It provides a calendar containing a comprehensive list of online and in-person test sessions. Your second option is to visit ARRL.org and select Find an Exam Session. The site provides a search tool for locating in-person exams. Your third option is to find ham radio clubs in your area. Local clubs frequently publish their upcoming exam schedules on their websites or Facebook pages. When taking the test, you'll need to bring a few things with you. You'll need a government-issued form of identification, such as a driver's license or passport. You'll also need the FRN that you registered for, and enough money to pay the testing fee. A fee is not always charged, but when there is one, it is typically around $10 or $15. That money usually supports the testing organization and related expenses. You may also bring a basic calculator. The testing team will probably have calculators available, but if you bring your own, it must be non-programmable and very basic. There is something else you should know about test day. Suppose you take the technician exam and pass. By tradition, the examiners will probably offer you the opportunity to take the next exam for free. You should take it. Even if you haven't studied for it, always take the next exam when it is offered to you at no additional cost. Also, if you take an exam and narrowly miss passing, the examiners will often allow you to make a second attempt. If you are not close to passing, they probably will not offer another immediate attempt. Traditionally, however, they will allow you to continue taking exams as long as you keep passing. They may also give you a second attempt when you come close to passing. After you pass your exam, it will probably take a few days for the government to issue your license. Once your license has been issued, you are free to conduct radio activities within the privileges granted by your license. When that happens, we hope you'll come by and see what we're doing. This YouTube channel will be one place to find us. We also really like Nostr here at HR4BTC, so look for our Nostr public key in the description below. To a lesser extent, we're available on other platforms, but most of the activity happens here and on Nostr. I look forward to seeing you again.